الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا وسيئات أعمالنا، من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين رب العالمين. Thank Allah Azza wa Jalla and praise Him Subhanahu wa Ta'ala for His blessing. We ask Allah Azza wa Jalla to grant us His pleasure in this dunya and hereafter. Allahumma ameen ya Rabbil Alameen. We come back to the 14th lesson regarding the explanation of important lessons for every Muslim of Shaykh bin Baz rahmatullah alayhi, and explained by Shaykh Abdul Razak al-Badr hafidhahullah ta'ala. Allahumma ameen. And that it is talking about the nullifiers of Wudhu. What breaks the Wudhu? Shaykh Rahmatullah mentioned 6 things. We're going to discuss that and we're going to talk about what is the most correct opinion in some of them that the Shaykh mentioned. Rahmatullah. So he mentioned 6 that break your wudu. Number 1, something exiting from one of the 2 openings, front and the back. Number 2, filth exiting the body. Number 3, losing consciousness either by sleep or otherwise. Number 4, touching the private part, front or back, without a barrier. Number 5, eating camel meat. And number 6, ridda, apostasy from Islam, leaving Islam. And we seek refuge in Allah from this for us and the Muslims. So the Shaykh said, nawaqid al-wudu, or nullifiers of wudu, which means that things that invalidate the wudu, and they are 6, as Shaykh mentioned. Number 1, something coming out from one of the 2 openings, from the front and the back. If something comes from the front or the back, which includes urine, feces, wind, blood, sperm, many pre-seminal fluid, and other than that, then the person's wudu is broken or is nullified. This is based upon Allah, the statement of Allah Azza wa Jal, أَوْ جَاءَ أَحَدٌ مِّنكُم مِّنَ الْغَائِطِ, as one of you comes after answering the call of nature. And it has been narrated from the action of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, كُنَّا إِذَا كُنَّا مَعَ رَسُولِ اللَّهِ صلى الله عليه وسلم فِي سَفَرٍ أَمَرَنَا أَنْ لَا نَنْزِعَهُ ثَلَاثًا إِلَّا مِنْ جَنَابَةٍ وَلَكِنْ مِنْ غَائِطٍ وَبَوْلٍ وَنَوْمٍ. When we were the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam on a journey, he told us not to take them, the foot covering, off for 3 days, as we do. We give the masah, like the wiping, except in the case of major impurity, but not in the case of defecation, urination, or sleep. Meaning that those 3, defecation, urination, or sleep, they break the wudu. So that's well known. So everything which comes out from these 2 ways, with the filth usually comes out on the front and the back, that breaks your wudu. Number 2, which is discussable, and that's Sheikh mentioned, the filth exiting the body, and anything else other than urine and those najasa. Al-makhraj, and it comes from the body, from different parts of the body, not from the front and the back, from other parts. And this, the scholars have different opinions regarding this, actually. So here, for example, scholars who agree to this, that any other thing which is considered, they consider najasa coming from the body, not from the front or the back, and they say, give examples, for example, blood or vomiting. So some of the scholars, and Sheikh has that opinion, said some of the scholars say invalidates wudu, like blood, for example. Some of the scholars say no, it doesn't invalidate wudu, because nothing has been confirmed from the Sunnah of the Prophet that blood or these types, or vomiting, throwing up, invalidates wudu. So, however, that the scholars who say invalidate the wudu said this has to be a large amount of and filthy to invalidate it, not just a little bit blood here, or it has to be. Those who say it invalidates wudu. That was mentioned by some companions and tabi'in, and that is the preferred view of the Shaykh. That's the preferred view of the Shaykh. He took the view to be inside of a caution and to avoid different opinions. Now, Allah knows best. And me personally, I take the second. Why? Because of the dalil. The second view, which is other Mashayikh, Sheikh Ibn Taymiyyah, Sheikh Al-Albani, and other scholars, they have that view because there is no dalil, there is no evidence that tells you that blood or qaya, and throwing up breaks the wudu. And as Sheikh Ibn Taymiyyah says, if you have the ibadah which is filled with dalil, evidence, like what's the ibadah built on evidence? Make wudu. You are sure that this person has wudu because he made wudu. We know for sure, and he knows himself. Now, this ibadah cannot be taken away or invalidated unless there is a sure evidence. In this case, we have no sure evidence whatsoever to we mentioned that blood, or even if it is a lot, or throwing up because it's filthy and coming from your stomach, coming back, it invalidates. Actually, we have the opposite for the blood. For example, we have the hadith that Ansari, where there were two Sahaba radiallahu ta'ala, they were in like a patrol to protect the Muslims. So one of them said, I'm going to take rest. The other, he said, he started praying the salah. Started praying the salah. And one of the mushrikeen, he shot him an arrow. 1, 2, 3. Obviously, it is a wound, arrow. Blood is coming. And he continued in salah, praying. And subhanAllah, after he finished the prayer, the other one who was asleep, kind of, he wake up and he followed the guy. He couldn't catch. He said, why didn't you cut your salah? He said, I was in a surah and I was enjoying the recitation of my surah and I didn't want to leave. Can you imagine? This was the love. So what we take from here, they went to the Prophet and the Prophet did not tell him, your wudu is broken, make wudu. Obviously, the blood was coming because it's a wound. It's not one, 2 or 3 hours went there. So that's the evidence of the opposite, that blood, and it doesn't break your wudu, even if it comes more, not just a little drops. And Allah knows best. And this is said that this is different opinion of the Shaykh. Other scholars, they have different opinions. And my heart feels at ease at the second opinion, which is blood. And for throwing up, there is no dalil that like authentic dalil or evidence that breaks your wudu. So it doesn't break wudu, inshallah ta'ala. So at this filth exiting the body, that's the Shaykh mentioned. But as we said, Allah knows best. So the dalil is not for the evidence for that. So it does not break. Even pus, for example, doesn't break. It's a filth coming from the body. It doesn't break your wudu. That. Number 3 is losing consciousness either by sleep or otherwise. This is because the person could invalidate his wudu while he is unconscious, while he is sleeping. And usually the scholars say deep sleep is the one which breaks the wudu, unless it's a light sleep. Why? Because the light sleep doesn't invalidate the wudu. We have the dalil for that. The Sahaba radiallahu ta'ala, they used to be drowsy between the Maghrib and Isha to pray. They used to wait for the Prophet. They were tired. He used to sleep early. Radiallahu ta'ala anhum. So while waiting for the salah, and they would pray. They would pray in there. So that doesn't invalidate the wudu, the light sleep. Meaning that it just, if somebody comes to you and you are there and you understand, you know what's going on in your situation, or even if somebody's speaking, you understand in general. Even if you are doing the khutbah, some people are like sleepy and drowsy during the khutbah. They just if they say, like, if a deep sleep, if you have something in your hand or something fell, kite be deep sleep, and you remember what it said? No, I don't remember anything. That's a deep sleep kind of. So, but normal, being drowsy doesn't break your wudu. And Sheikh says, or otherwise. What otherwise? Deep sleep or otherwise. What do you think otherwise? Intoxication, fainting, insanity, person. So he loses consciousness, that's to say. Number 4 is touching the private part, front or back, without a barrier. Touching the private part, front or back, without a barrier, be that explained. This is the viewpoint of the Shaykh, and it is consensus of the scholars according to him, and the correct opinion according to the Shaykh. But there is another opinion. And personally, I take the second opinion. Why? because there is a dalil, there is an evidence for that. So alhamdulillah, our deen is yusr, and it's easy. And we love and respect our shuyukh and our scholars. May Allah have mercy on them. But we don't follow every single word like that without dalil. The student of knowledge and then the scholar, they look at the dalil, the evidence, which one is more correct regarding that. So in this case, there is a hadith. Prophet ﷺ, he said that whoever whoever touches his genitals should perform ablution. Okay. Now, but there is another hadith of the Prophet ﷺ who said that was asked regarding this, that it is a part of you. When I was asked, should I make wudu? He said, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, it is a part of your body. And it's like you're touching any other part of the body. So how the scholars, other scholars who don't take this opinion, they reconcile against this hadith. They say, then from this two hadith, we combine and reconcile between them and we understand that if the person touches his private part with lust, without a barrier, with lust, with desire, in this case, breaks the wudu. But if normally, by mistake, you are taking a shower, ghusl, normally as we do, we take ghusl, we clean our private parts first, then we take the wudu and the ghusl. It happens to be like accidentally while you're taking a shower, for example, you touch by mistake. Oh, you have to do it again from the beginning. Maybe you touch it another time. So it's not easy that way. But it's not because of that. But the Prophet said that whoever that it is a part of you. So from this, if a person touches without a barrier his private part with lust or desire, in this case breaks wudu. But if normally, accidentally, or without desire, it doesn't break wudu, inshallah ta'ala. That's the most correct opinion, and Allah knows best. Now the same case is the same scholars who say that touching the private part without barrier breaks your wudu. They say that for your own or other people's. So they say even if the mother is washing the baby, or for example the private part washing that said she breaks or the father breaks wudu. We say no, the same thing. Not because we say no. The scholars say that regarding this because of the same hadith for that. So the person who washes the private part of his son or daughter because they are young and they need to be washed, there doesn't break wudu, inshallah ta'ala, regarding of these hadith that we just mentioned. Number 5 is eating camel meat. Eating camel meat. Whoever has a chance to eat camel meat, yeah. If you want to break wudu, go and eat camel meat. No, camel meat is good and to try. So maybe somebody can buy a camel and can slaughter for us, and we make this something. We eat the camel meat and then we make wudu after that.
We didn't have any more healing.
No, there is.
Really?
Yeah, there is. Performing wudu after eating camel meat is proven by the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ when a man asked him, أَتَوَضَّأُ مِنْ لُحُومِ الْإِبِلِ قَالَ نَعَمْ. Should I perform ablution after eating camel meat? The Prophet ﷺ said, yes. He said, yes, ﷺ. So that everybody agrees regarding that. Number 6 is as apostasy or ridda from Islam. Na'udhu billahi minha. We seek refuge in Allah from this for us and all the Muslims. Apostasy from Islam invalidates wudu and nullifies all the actions, as we know. Based upon the statement of Allah, لَإِنْ أَشْرَكْتَ لَيَحْبَطَنَّ عَمَلُكَ. If you join others in worship with Allah, then surely all your deeds will be in vain. Allah is talking to the Prophet. Obviously, we are included in that statement. Then the Shaykh Rahmatullah said, it is important to mention that as for washing the deceased, this is different case or matter. As for washing the deceased, and ghusl mayyit, then the correct view is that it does not invalidate the wudu, and that is true. This is a statement of most of the scholars, and this is what the proofs show. But if the hand, Sheikh goes back to the same, he had the opinion, the hand of one washing touches the private part of the deceased area, deceased, without a barrier, it is obligatory to perform wudu according to the Sheikh. And it is obligatory for the person to not touch the private area of the deceased except with a barrier. That's the second. Yeah, you shouldn't touch except the that's what would they wear gloves or something when they clean. The explanation of that, the scholars have differed about this issue with two opinions. One view is that it is obligation to perform wudu after washing the deceased, for the person who washed the deceased. And the second view is that it is only recommended. The Shaykh holds the view that it does not invalidate the wudu because there is no proof stating that it does. And the principle is that the purification remains unless there is a proof that it doesn't. And wudu remains unless there is a proof that it broke the wudu. And that is true, what the Shaykh is saying. As for the hadith, according to the Shaykh, من غسل ميتا فليغتسل ومن حمله فليتوضأ. Whoever washes the deceased, let him bathe, let him take a shower. The Shaykh has the opinion that this hadith, according to him, this hadith is weak. And other narrations have been authenticated from the Prophet which prove that it is only recommended for the person who washes the deceased with bathe. We can agree with the Shaykh that there is no other proof, but the hadith is sahih, actually. This hadith is sahih, but doesn't prove that we have to make the ghusl. Because we're a different, not wudu, wudu, no, you don't have to make wudu. You can make it, so no problem. Recommend, you can make wudu again after washing it. But what about the hadith says, whoever washes the deceased, let him what? Take a shower. So hadith is sahih, is authentic, by the way. So now what can we do with this hadith? If the hadith tells us, so looking at the hadith apparently means that you have to make wudu is wajib. So how can even the scholars that agree that they say this hadith is sahih, they say this hadith is recommended? Why and how? They say because this is not meant wujub, wajib obligation. Why? Because when we see the situation of the Sahaba radiallahu ta'ala, we have reports that some of them used to make wudu, used to take a shower, and some of them used not to take a shower. So we understand from this that they understood from the Prophet ﷺ that this commandment is not for obligation, it's not wujub, but it is recommended. It is recommended, yes. It is recommended to make ghusl or take a shower if the person make ghusl to the bayt or the deceased. The same thing for the wudu. And it's not a wajib or an obligation and doesn't break your wudu. That's the most correct opinion. And the Sheikh then again goes back to the same point mentioned. If the hand of the one washing touches the private part or deceased, that it's obligatory to perform wudu, obviously, because he has that opinion. This is due to the hand of the washer touching the private area of the deceased. It has been mentioned that touching the private area invalidates wudu. He said, and it is obligatory for the person to not touch the private area of the deceased except the burial. This is because it's not permissible to touch the awra of the deceased. And it's also haram to look at it because the mayyit has karama. The person who is deceased has his honor and dignity even after passing away. The same thing that when he is alive, the same thing. He is. That's why it's not a lot. Even the water, for example, when you wash it, you have to like boil it and then it's like too hot because it is the same like whatever you do when he is deceased, the same like you do when he is alive. So it's hurting him. If it hurts him when he is alive, the same thing. We're not supposed to do that when he is deceased and giving him a shower. Therefore, it is an obligation to cover the private area of the deceased with cloth so it's not visible. And the washer, the one who gives the ghusl, must place a cloth on his hand so he does not touch the private area of the deceased. The Shaykh then said, likewise, touching a woman, obviously is haram. If touching, especially the woman which is not mahram, is haram to touch. But the woman who is mahram, shaking hand with your mom, for example, or sister, that's not haram, but does not invalidate the wudu, does not break the wudu like some they think. It is the same that he touches her with desire or without desire, according to the most correct statement of the scholar. This is provided that nothing comes out from him, like from front or the back. This is because the Prophet he used to kiss some of his wives and then prayed without performing wudu. He did not break the wudu. And then always we have to keep that in mind. This is because we're based what? In the principle that the wudu is an ibadah. and it's not invalidated, it doesn't break unless there is a clear proof, clear evidence for that. And obviously, we have no clear, authentic proof that touching a woman invalidates the wudu. And this is what cause general harm in every home. And if just by touching a woman would invalidate the wudu, and if touching a woman invalidates wudu, the Messenger of Allah would have clarified, because it's very important. The Shaykh said regarding the words of Allah in the Surah An-Nisa and Ma'idah, when Allah says, أَوْ لَامَسْتُمُ النِّسَاء, or you have been in contact with women. لَامَسْتُم, the word لَامَسْتُم النِّسَاء. The word in Arabic language, لَمَسَ, فعل ماضي. It's a verb in past tense, which means touch, touching. Here is لَمَسَ. You have an alif added. In Arabic language, it's so powerful and so beautiful. Said الزيادة في مبنى زيادة في المعنى. If anything is added to the word and the structure of the word, that means there is an addition, there is something changing in the meaning of the word, meaning there is a different word. So here what is meant here, لَامَسْتُمْ, it is, what is meant is intimate relationship. It's not just physical contact. According to the most correct opinion and the statement of the scholars, and this is the viewpoint of Ibn Abbas and radiallahu anh, and the group of the Salaf al-Salihin from the Sahaba radiallahu anh, and those who came after them. And Allah Azza wa Jalla brings the success. Imam al-Tabari rahmatullahi alayhi mentioned the statement of Ibn Abbas and some of the Salaf al-Salihin that this verse refers to what? To intimate relationship. And he mentioned both opinions on this subject. And he said, the most correct opinion is أَوْلَا مَسْكُمْ النِّسَاء, or you have been in contact with women. This verse refers to intimate relationship. It does not refer to any other meaning of the word contact and touching them. This is due to the authentic report that the Prophet ﷺ has happened that he kissed some of his wife and then prayed without performing wudu. That is regarding nullifying the wudu. So these are, one more time, what according to what, just to sum it up, what breaks your wudu according to the most correct opinion, not according to what we said 6 things, but what according to the most correct opinion. Can you count for me? Number 1, what comes out from front and back. Okay. Number 2, losing consciousness, being by deep sleep, pain, intoxication, whatever. Number 3, yeah, deep sleep is the second one. Eating camel meat. Okay. There was the last one, like losing or apostasy, leaving Islam. What else? No. Yeah, we're missing one. We corrected something in there, but touching private part with lust. We said touching private parts with lust. In that case, it breaks your wudu. Okay, just before we conclude, say like some things that people we talked about that, but people think that breaks wudu and instead doesn't break. We mentioned that touching your private part without shahwa, it doesn't break the wudu. Touching the woman doesn't break the wudu. Blood, we said the most correct opinion, that doesn't break, even if it's from hijab. Blood we make a hijab. That's the most correct opinion. Allah knows best. Throwing up, we said most correct opinion, it does not, because there is no hadith for that. A shak, having doubts that you broke your wudu, it does not break your wudu unless you have a proof. What's the proof? Prophet ﷺ, he said, unless you are praying in salah and you have a shak, you have a doubt that, oh, I think I break my wudu. Unless you hear a sound, and this is what the Prophet said, that they let him not leave the salah unless he hears a sound that is clear that he heard something there, or he smells something. And in this case, that's the proof. Otherwise, as it came in the hadith, the shaitan enters and plays around. And it just to tell you that it's this. And it plays around to make you feel you break wudu and you go. And some people they become with waswasa, and whispering on the shaitan, oh, making wudu 100 times here and there. That because of that, the shaitan. Taking anything, for example, some of the people they think that taking from the hair or clipping the nails or taking off your socks or khuffain doesn't break your wudu. Yeah, just by taking off the socks. Even when you wipe on the socks, because said that this is some of the Prophet, you can do it for 24 hours for the muqim, person who is resident, and then for 72 hours, which is 3 days and 3 nights for the person who is traveler. Yes.
When I make like a massage,
yeah.
When I take the socks out,
I'll explain now. Now it said that the fact of taking the socks, let's say you made wudu. The condition for the wudu to wipe over the socks is one of the conditions is to wear it with full wudu. Yeah, to wear the socks with full wudu, meaning that you have washed your feet before you wear the socks. Be that any type of sock. We're not entering that debate. And so now, for example, you made wudu in the Fajr time, and you broke your wudu, or you didn't take off the socks during that time. You broke your wudu. Now Dhuhr time came. You make wudu, full wudu, except you wipe over the socks because already you have wore those socks with full wudu and complete. Now you wore. Let's say Maghrib time, before Maghrib time, you take the socks out 20 minutes before Maghrib. The fact of taking socks off does not break your wudu. Does not break your wudu. But if you break your wudu, if you break and you still your socks, it's off. If you break your wudu, you can no longer wipe on those socks anymore, but you have to make a wudu, fully wudu, by washing your feet. So just the fact that you take the socks, that you wipe over them, you take it off, does not break. So you still have wudu for 1 hour, 2 hours. If you didn't break wudu, you still can pray with that. You can wash you can put the socks on, no problem. You can pray. But even if you put it on the socks and you want to wipe over when you break your wudu yourself, you just break your wudu and you want to wipe over them, you can't wipe over those socks anymore because you didn't wear it tahir. If you break your wudu, pay attention, not if you didn't break your wudu. And so that's what the Shaykh is mentioned here. So just the fact that taking the khuf or the socks off doesn't break the wudu. We stop here, inshallah, and that's the things to break in wudu. Ask Allah Azza wa Jal to grant us beneficial knowledge, and ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to forgive our sins and to grant us His pleasure in this dunya and hereafter. Allahumma ameen ya rabbil alameen. Allahumma ameen al-haqqa haqqan warzuqna ittiba'ah wa arina al-batila batilan warzuqna ijtinabah. اللهم انصر الاسلام والمسلمين وذل الشرك والمشركين. اللهم انصر اخواننا المستضعفين في غزه وفلسطين وفي كل مكان يذكر اسم الكريم امين يا رب العالمين. اللهم كن لهم ولا تكن عليهم. اللهم انصرهم ولا تنصر عليهم. لا اله الا انت سبحانك انا كنا من الظالمين. صلى الله على نبينا محمد وصحبه اجمعين. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك اشهد ان لا اله الا انت استغفرك واتوب اليك.